All right, back now with my panel, so let's continue this conversation on the breaking news. So, Jason, also tonight, we're learning President Trump and Attorney General Jeff Sessions have had a series of heated exchanges over the last several weeks since Sessions recused himself from the probe, from this Russia probe. Things got so tense that Sessions even threatened to resign. What do you think about that?
I think that it's pretty clear that President Trump thought that he was shutting down the Russia investigation when he fired James Comey, and that didn't work. And now he's really irritated and realizes that the chief qualification he's actually looking for in an attorney general is someone who can shut down the Russia investigation. Given the fact that Attorney General Sessions had to recuse himself for ethical reasons, he's unable to shut down the investigation. So President Trump feels that he can't do the job, which President Trump apparently sees as protecting President Trump exclusively and not apparently protecting or pushing for justice in the United States of America.
Here is the House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi's take on working with the president.
Well, it is unusual, but as I've said, if you want a job at the White House, know your blood type, because you're going to get thrown overboard at some point or discredited, and you see that happening.
So the reason I played that, Anna, is because the White House won't say tonight if the president has confidence in Jeff Sessions. Over 6 hours after press Secretary Sean Spicer, you saw in the briefing there, declined to do so. Sessions is one of the president's closest and earliest supporters. So does Pelosi have a point?
Well, Don, first of all, I'm not sure that the White House not saying that the president does have confidence in Sessions is not a good thing for Sessions. The last time we heard that was about Michael Flynn, who they professed to have great confidence in and was out a few hours later. So it might be good news for Sessions. Look, I think it should be sending a chill down the spine of everybody that's working in the White House, in the sense that nobody more than Sessions was helpful to Trump. He was the first one in the Senate who was helpful to Trump. He was out there apologizing for Trump every time Trump did something insane and absolutely crazy and stupid and unforgivable. Jeff Sessions was loyal to Donald Trump from start to finish. And so if Jeff Sessions is on thin ice, everybody else is underwater.
So why can't he say, Scott, why do you think the president will not say whether he has confidence in Jeff Sessions?
I don't know, and maybe he doesn't want to participate in, a generated drama tonight. I do think this: you've got a new president who isn't from politics. You've got a new attorney general who is in a new job as well. Two guys trying to get used to each other in tough jobs. So sure, I'm sure that he has heated conversations with a lot of people. I know this: Jeff Sessions has been around long enough to know if he wanted to resign, he just would have. Simply offering to resign, and now the big deal is being made out of it. I don't know. It feels to me like maybe it's being over-dramatized tonight for the sake of, the news of the day, and I wouldn't read too much into it until, something actually happens of a real personnel nature, which is just not the case tonight.
You see, I think completely the opposite. I think he actually wants to generate drama. I think you're going to see President Trump generate all sorts of drama between today and the end of James Comey's hearing. Brace yourself, because God only knows what could happen in the world and generated by Donald Trump on Thursday. I think, I come at practically everything he does from the perspective that he is trying to generate drama, that he's trying to distract us, that he is throwing a shiny object in front of us so that we chase and we don't.
Well, Robert Costa of the Washington Post is reporting that he may live tweet Comey's hearing, so Anna may have a point there.
And Don, can I jump in for 1 second before
he might be dancing lambada on Thursday to get us distracted.
Go ahead, Jason.
Before we move on from Attorney General Sessions, I think a point that should not be lost here is that if he ends up resigning or if he gets fired, it's going to be because, as I said, because President Trump can't get him to shut down the Russia investigation because he's recused himself. But what should not be lost here is he's a terrible attorney general. I mean, the choices that he's making when it comes to sentencing, when it comes to drugs versus rehabilitation, the fact that he very may well have perjured himself already, I think maybe twice, or at least lied on official forums twice. I mean, refused to disclose meetings with the Russians. Like, this person should not be attorney general. It may be that he gets fired simply because this is the irony, and this is the sad part of this, because he chooses to make a single ethical choice under pressure, which is recusing himself from the Russia investigation. That may ultimately be what gets him fired, and that's life in the Trump White House.
Scott, I know you want to jump in, so let me read this, and then I'll let you jump in. This is from the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal's editorial board. It writes, in part, If this pattern continues, Mr. Trump may find himself running an administration with no one but his family and the Breitbart staff. People of talent and integrity won't work for a boss who undermines them in public without thinking about the consequences. Are we far away from that now? What do you think of that?
Well, I mean, obviously we haven't seen a lot of resignations out of the White House. We've had a couple of people go, but not en masse, and we haven't had that much turnover. I read a tweet tonight before we went on the air. Sean Spicer's now outlasted George Stephanopoulos' tenure when he worked for Clinton. So there's, you know, I think people are trying to make a lot of this personnel stuff, but no personnel stuff is actually happening. And I think what the president really wants is wins. And I think that's what the Republicans in Congress want, is wins. What we're not talking about right now is Obamacare. I think a little movement happened today among the Senate Republicans on repealing and replacing Obamacare. But here we are sitting here tonight talking about non-existent personnel issues that haven't actually come to pass.
Why do you think the president is not talking about that?
We may be voting on Obamacare by July 4th.
Scott, why do you think the president is not talking or tweeting about that?
Well, he made a statement from the White House today after a meeting with congressional leadership and was talking about the agenda a little bit. But again, all of this agenda stuff is being swamped by discussions of non-existent personnel matters. I don't dispute that there are going to be people that come and go, but let's talk about it when it happens. Let's not try to predict. We've been hearing predictions that Reince Priebus is leaving. We've been hearing predictions about Spicer. We've been hearing prediction after prediction on personnel. A lot of it just hasn't come true. And all that time, we're not talking about the real serious policy matters that I think the American people want us to talk about. And right now, I'm telling you, there may be a vote on Obamacare repeal and replace in the Senate before July the 4th, and that is a big story that is breaking today.
All right. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. Gentlemen and lady, thank you so much. We'll be right back.